Good evening, everybody. Welcome everyone to the June 1st meeting of the Wythe County Planning Commission. And we have a quorum, and at this time, we'll have the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And our next item of business, we'll welcome the return of our former member, is a new member, Mr. Robert Epperson, representing the Fort Chiswell District. Welcome, Bobby.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Welcome back.
Welcome back.
Thank you. Glad to be back.
Like I mentioned, Rusty a minute ago, I said Bobby and we've known each other for 40 years, and I figure about 8 months.
Well, 40 for you, 20 for me, but. No, we go way back.
And welcome you back. Glad to have you back. And our next item is citizens' time. Any citizen would like to speak?
I'm here for homework.
Yeah, good evening. Thank you, and I'm happy to be before y'all. My name's Andy Kegley. I live in Fairview section of Wythe County and been to many Board of Supervisors meetings over the last several months, but I haven't addressed you all specifically. And now that I understand the ball's back in your court presumably on taking up the land use classification ordinance, I just wanted to reiterate a couple things that I've submitted in comments online to you all. Maybe you've seen them. I hope you've seen them. Regards to the data centers. And the two big ones would be a request that no data centers be allowed in commercial or industrial districts. The industrial district outside of Progress Park. I think it would make some sense to create an industrial park designation of public land, i.e. Progress Park, and private land, all the rest of the county where you have industrial designation on some lots. So ban data centers by right and even special use exemption in commercial and industrial. Also, I think it would behoove you to eliminate the transportation corridor designation. That would make life a lot simpler, less complicated. I don't know what we gain by having that level of bureaucracy on whatever 1,000 feet, 1,500 feet, whatever it is along the corridor. Maybe you can minimize it down to a couple exit interchanges, but that just feels like it complicates things and makes some folks less willing to get behind you and support the overall zoning ordinance goals. Also on your mapping, I've said this in the comments that conservation easements and even agricultural and forestal districts ought to be designated on the maps too, just to show where there is already some protection of land. And then I said the other night, last week in the board meeting, I've been on this subject since like 1985, 86. When I was on the board, we tried to do discussion about zoning in around 1990, 91, didn't go very far. It came up again around 2004. It's come up again a couple times. There have been other issues that have been dragging it up. So I got deep feelings on this. And in the current iteration, as we've been talking about the data centers as well as solar farms, a lot of people we talk to, just say, why don't we have a zoning ordinance? And think about what you want, about the number of calls or comments you may have gotten from your friends or your neighbors who are pro or con on the subject. But what this really boils down to is just one thing. You might be against zoning, and if that's your opinion, then what you're really saying is you're against the opportunity for a public hearing on what it is you don't like. And when I throw that comment back to people who say, well, we can't have zoning because of property rights and government intrusion, when you mention the lack of a public hearing for something like this, people begin to understand and say, well, it's a necessary evil. Everyone wants the opportunity for a public hearing. So I'll say it again, and not for the last time. What you really mean is if you're against zoning, is that you're against the opportunity for a public hearing. And our voice, that opportunity for a voice in the public hearing, is the heartbeat of our democracy. So thank you and good luck with your work, and we'll be seeing you again.
Thank you. And at this time, we'll take up the next item of business, our minutes of the prior meeting of May 4th, 2026.
I read the minutes, I didn't see anything wrong with them, I moved to approve them, sir.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded, and we'll do a roll call vote from left this way.
Aye.
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 I'm assuming I need to abstain since I wasn't here. I don't know if they're right or not. Aye.
It's been approved of the meetings of the May 4th, 2026 meeting. And our next item of business is old business, the land use classification ordinance. So I'll entertain the staff to fill us in.
The Board of Supervisors at its last meeting gave some direction on how they want to proceed. So I asked the board, if you don't think you're ever going to pass it, and I probably didn't put it exactly this way, but if you don't think you're going to pass an ordinance about zoning, don't make us waste our time. So they referred this back to you for further consideration. What they'd like to do is have you discuss whether you want to include the changes that have been suggested as part of the public conversations that we've had. The vast majority of those fall into three categories. One is individual properties. People concerned about how the ordinance is going to affect their addresses or properties that they own, whether those are residential properties or business properties for them. We had some that were concerned about ways that the ordinance was written, some specific language. And then we had just some general concerns about, this is, my concern about, zoning in general or about, classifying properties as groups. We have not put all of that together into a unified document yet. We have all the responses, but we haven't put that into a spreadsheet for you. We're waiting on the board to provide some action for that. So what I would suggest is that we will compile all those and get them out to you. And then you'll need to have either a work session or some time at your next meeting where you discuss those and give staff direction on what you want to do with them. So just as part of the process, I think what we'd like to know is, do you want to do this as a separate work session? Where we come together and we look at what has been suggested and make some changes to the mapping and to some of the language. Or do you want to do this, as part of the next meeting?
I would like to see the suggestions that have been submitted, and probably in the best interest, I mean, if we're gonna try to do a good job, we probably need a work session in order to hammer out different details, because you got 7 different opinions right here, and we got thousands of people in Wythe County that have opinions, and hopefully some of them are close to what we're thinking. But I think we can work it out and then present it to the board and see if they'll fly with it.
I agree with Rusty on the work session, because I think it's gonna take a little bit of time
Yeah.
with a lot of things, and I have a list here myself of things that I saw on it, so.
Well, and that is one thing that we're gonna need too. There are some conversations that you all had, that we might not have seen results from. So if there's specific things that people came up to you all at those conversations that you think we didn't see, but we need to address, we need to discuss those. And we can either do that as part of the work session, or you can submit them to us, and we can compile them so that we're prepared to discuss them at a work session.
Yeah, I agree. We need a work session and just, because I want to see all the public comments. The citizens' voice needs to be heard, so we're going to look at all of them.
What I would suggest is that we will prepare a list, probably as an Excel spreadsheet or a PDF, and send it out to all of you so you have the opportunity to review those. We have, the notes that we took at the meetings. We have the papers that were submitted. We have the online forms that came to us. And I think all told, we had between 30 and 40 responses in some form or fashion, but that doesn't include responses that may have been just between you and a constituent, or between a board member and a constituent. So, there may be some of those that we haven't captured yet.
I do think we need to get all of our questions and answers to you so you can file us all in one form instead of having this little bits and pieces out here. Because like I said, I do have a few things that I need to, to send to you. So I would agree with that.
If possible, could we get those from you by Friday of this week?
Absolutely.
By email? That way I think ours won't take very long. We had so much of it come from the online forums, but, if there are things, and I'll ask the same thing to the board, if there's things that they haven't submitted to us that need to be.
And some of the things that we might have heard might be, I don't know,
Already on.
pretty much what you have online and so forth, so.
Well, we know Mr. Castle came to all three meetings and, requested that the map be revised to take his property out of commercial and back into agricultural, and I think that's a no-brainer. But you're gonna have some easy ones like that. We'll get those out of the way.
Yeah, because
fairly early.
on one side of the road, his property was agricultural, on the other side of the road, it was commercial, so.
And when you're trying to chip out, almost 20,000 parcels, there's gonna be some errors, so, we'll try to get those right. There are some of those properties that are sort of hanging out there, that aren't grouped with like properties that are, either individually zoned with no similar properties adjoining them. Some of those we need to clean up too. So that's just gonna take a little work and a little looking around at the map and us putting our heads together and making sure that we agree that we're going in the right direction.
And can we also add Mr. Kegley's comments from tonight to that spreadsheet?
We can, but Mr. Kegley's already submitted those. I didn't really notice
Just to
a
make
lot of
sure.
difference between what you said tonight and what you've already submitted, so.
The board also indicated during this process, sometime probably after the work session, that we'll want to do a joint meeting with both boards.
I think that's a great idea.
That way y'all get
Because
to,
I'm sure the board members have probably different opinions and.
we do, and I'd mentioned to them for each of us to reach out to our counterparts on the planning commission and express what individually, because I'm not going to speak for the other six in any way, shape, or fashion, but I've definitely got some thoughts of my own, and but yeah, after the work session, we'll, because we also don't want to drag our feet on this. That was the other indication of the board, that we didn't want to. It was still going to be a number of weeks, but not months and months. Is
Closer than we were. Now, let me ask you a question. Once this thing's consolidated and we went through it, they went through it, we've had joint sessions, are we gonna have some more public hearings to
That
present
is-
what we've changed?
Yes, and the discussion is if we change how the meetings look. Because Matt's heard that some people don't like the way our meetings went, that nobody had an opportunity to actually address the public more like a town hall meeting type meeting. And so we had really good turnouts, but because of how divided the issue is out in the county, I think the more people, the more opportunities we have, the more, you know, and then the more interact, because at the end of the day, it's a citizens zoning ordinance. And so,
Are the House bills that we were concerned with, not concerned with, but looking at as part of this process, are those still alive?
Yes, but they were greatly watered down from their original form. They originally required localities to accept, particularly the solar development as a use by right anywhere. Now the localities don't have to do that, but they do have to report to the State Corporation Commission what their outcomes are when they consider a solar farm. So they either have to say, we accepted it, we denied it. If we denied it, here are the reasons why. The state's got to come up with a process for the localities to report that.
But that has passed.
It has passed.
We
and I
just don't
believe it's
have-
been signed by the governor.
We just don't have guidance yet on how to report.
Right. Usually, once a bill passes, there's got to be some regulatory framework put together on how that happens. And so the State Corporation Commission, as the agency charged with keeping those records, will have to figure out how we submit those. And I haven't seen anything on that. There may be something out there, but I haven't seen it yet.
So
Do you,
what date do we want to schedule a work session?
guess how long it will take from Friday, once all the responses are in, to compile that list?
I think we'll generally have everything together Friday, as long as we receive responses back.
I won't be here next week, but you all
Well, I'm going to have limited availability next week myself. We have a board meeting next Tuesday, and I'm out of town the 10th through the 12th.
That third week sometime,
15th.
15th to the
We
19th.
have something for the 14th, 15th.
on the 15th?
at 5,
Huh?
at 5,
Oh,
The 15th's not good for me.
We have something that night.
it's a joint meeting with the,
That was the idea.
yeah.
Yeah, so,
The 15th's not good for me.
so you got the 16th, 17th, and 18th, if you won't be here on the 19th.
the Board of Supervisors would usually meet on the 23rd, because this is the last month of the fiscal year. That meeting is on the 30th. So that week of the 22nd through the 26th, we're pretty light on evening meetings that week.
How's everybody feel about the 22nd?
That's good.
You do the board preference, Heidi?
Yes.
Okay.
6 o'clock,
Do you need a motion?
are we doing 6 o'clock?
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's good with me. I don't know what's good with anybody else.
Okay.
Since it's a work session, I think it's your consensus. Then just tonight, you'll recess from this meeting to continue the work session. That way, you know,
Yep.
that is standpoint. And that would just require consensus of it.
He got it written down.
The only formal discussion I had was with Dr. Fox, who I introduced to you. Do you know if that's on there, or if I need to submit that?
He submitted it, and
Okay.
I believe he came in person,
He
so.
came and spoke to me, and I had wrote it down, and he submitted it, so we've got it.
I
Okay.
have it in my notes.
He's covered.
Okay.
And just to let you all know, all the meetings that you all came to for Fort Chisholm, Wythe, and Fir Tree, you will get paid mileage for that too. And thank you all for coming.
You
Mileage.
get paid mileage for the meeting.
You get mileage.
Oh.
So when you get your check this month, have a look.
Oh, you picked the
I'm
next.
good thinking that the board gave you a raise.
We knew better.
Well, making as much as David ever does it.
Believe it or not, y'all are among some of the highest paid planning commissioners in the region.
We are really?
Truly. Yep. And where I called, it was 50, 25, and that's per meeting, not per month. So if they met every 3 months, they-
Some don't meet every month. Which if they pass zoning, we won't have a lot, right?
You might have a lot more.
You're
gonna have a lot more.
I mean, that's, because you're gonna have an administrator, right?
Well, you'll have to designate an administrator for the ordinance.
Right.
That
But
can't be
there
on
will
the,
Things that you have to take up, so if there's a special exception, special use, conditional uses, there's any number of things that could come before you, so you may wind up having more public hearings than we have now.
Now, is that gonna be kind of a dual role for the planning commission, be like the zoning commission too, or is that gonna be a self-entity after, if, would have, cause some of it has to be county legalities through the court system.
That's the Board of Zoning Appeals, so you all will still be the first line, that deals with it. If somebody doesn't like their outcomes after you've made a recommendation to the Board of Supervisors and they made a determination, then they can go to the Board of Zoning Appeals, which has that quasi-judicial authority that they can act like a court. And then if they don't like that action, then they can appeal on to the Supreme Court. So,
but members of the planning commission can't sit on the appeals, or someone has to.
I believe you're limited by law to one member of the planning commission who can serve on BZA, unless we change that language, and I'm looking at somewhere in the 72, 73 pages.
One can sit on the zoning?
I believe so. I'll double check
I
that.
believe that's right.
I think it's representative, I think that's right, too.
But that makes sense to have one.
One representative that sits on it.
There's just so much of me going on. Yeah, where they do there, they can bring it back to the hills.
So, anything else on the land use ordinance tonight? I just have one comment. I had one couple that came up to me at George Wythe, and they were complaining that our zoning ordinance was not stringent enough.
What they want more.
wow.
Well, it was Dale Earnhardt's son,
Yeah.
Kerry, and his wife, Renee, and they live in Mooresville, and they were saying that just the rapid development around that Mooresville area and the Lake Norman is, they was just concerned that,
But we ain't like.
I know, but
If I'm not mistaken.
We ain't got Charlotte sitting next.
no, we're not gonna grow like that, but they were concerned that, we didn't have enough.
I can see them building up around Ruby Tree Lake.
I think they were concerned
Well,
with the
I would say
rapid
would.
development of the growth, because it had been agricultural in Mooresville, and then all of a sudden, there's no agricultural.
There's,
left, and
yeah,
it's
there's
all
nothing
open.
left.
I'm sure, I hear that all the time.
So
Yeah.
that
Yeah,
was their
true.
big concern, is making sure that the farms, the agriculture, the resources were taken care of in this area, because his wife is from here.
Yep.
Um,
Like they-
I think it's at.
Yeah, they wanna keep rural
They
with
want to keep
county rural. So,
I ain't nothing wrong with that.
They wanna pull back on the buy right thing, where you got buy rights. They won't be able to, if you wanna do something, you have less things you can do without coming for the zoning appeals and that process. The way I kinda understood it.
And if nothing else, we'll go to our subdivision ordinance report, and I'll defer to staff for the information.
First one that we have is Hurt Farms. They have created through a minor subdivision one new lot on St. Paul Church Road, a 0.739 acre parcel, part of tax map and parcel number 5220. The new parcel is a residential lot, and all parcels will be served by private water and private sewer, and all have adequate road frontage, and this plat was recorded May 6th.
Any questions for the staff on this subdivision? If none, we'll proceed to the next one.
The next one is Dale Barker. He has created through a minor subdivision one new lot on Riverview Road, a 17.125 acre parcel, part of tax map and parcel number 74-13. The new parcel is an agricultural lot, and all parcels will be served by private water and private sewer, and all parcels have adequate road frontage, and this one was recorded on May the 14th.
And that Riverview Road, that's a private drive, correct?
No.
Oh, it is. I see right now, State Road 639. Okay. Any other questions? If none, we'll proceed.
Charlotte neighbor Rebecca Hancock and Lisa Lewis recently conveyed 38.923 acres to their adjoining owners, Lisa and Hal Lewis. Simultaneously, through a lot line revision, Mr. and Mrs. Lewis combined the 38.923 acres with their 6.004, making the new revised tract 44.927 acres. All parcels will be used as agricultural, residential, and forestal, and all parcels are served by private water and private sewer, and they all have adequate road frontage, and this plat was recorded May 1st.
This one I do have a question on, where they changed the parcel and you see that line coming down, it's across that gas pipeline, and maybe Rodney can answer this. I know in certain areas, there's only so much you can do as far as fencing and transportation across those goes. Is that gonna be any concern for them if they put a fence there across that?
It don't matter, whatever the property is, it doesn't matter, that easement is conveyed from property to property. It stays with the property, and as long as they don't, if they do any building or fencing or anything of that nature, they'll have to call, and, you know, the 811 gets that started, you know, that's state law, so.
That was my question on it, because I know they told us with fencing, you couldn't be so many
So I mean,
inches down
it's
and
usually
all
about
that.
30-foot right of way in there, and they want you to stay off at 30 foot. You can put a fence over it, they're pretty serious about what type of fencing you can put across it, things of that nature, but as far as building anything, no. 30 foot's pretty stringent.
Okay.
Sometimes it's 50, depending on the situation, the site. That one right there, let's see, that's that 24-inch line that's got the high pressure on it, so they've probably got a little bit more than 30 foot on it. It's probably about 40, 50 foot. I'm just guessing, I don't know for sure.
It says 50 foot
Okay.
on here.
It looks like there's a fence running up this way, across it, and then back across here. There's a fence already on
They're
it.
constantly monitoring that pipeline with, you know, aerial surveillance. They use drones and helicopters, so, you know, they're watching for encroachments. We watch for encroachments on, you know, the company I work for. So, you know, we're constantly watching for encroachments, and that's basically somebody building too close or placing something that could put the line in jeopardy or cause safety issues. So they do watch these things, but like I said, there's you know, everything that, you know, no matter how the lane's split, it's still got a right of way regardless. They've got perpetual easement or actual bought the property that goes through there, just lease it or however they done a perpetual lease, use it the way it goes. So, it's from now on the end of time, but they still can utilize the property like grazing cattle, sheep or whatever, and still use it for their farm. They just, getting any kind of structures close to it, that's pretty much a no-go.
I wouldn't want to build a building on top of it anyway.
You'd be surprised there's some subdivisions right in, one going right through subdivision in Black Spring Christian, and that ain't the old place. Shoot, that one line goes between Target, and the main line that feeds down to Roanoke. You got Target on one side and Walmart on the other,
Walmart on
goes
the
right
other.
through between them. That's where we pick up, feed Black Spring Christian.
That's why I was
You were
asking
under
if
the
it
tallest
fits
building in
in the
Pulaski
ground
County.
codes. They were like, no, you can't.
Do what now?
You were under the tallest building in Pulaski County too, with the gas.
There was not the-
Yeah, I know. Yep, absolutely.
If no other questions, we'll continue on.
The next one, we have Jeffrey Osborne recently subdivided his property of 25.786 acres located along Pleasant Pine Drive in the Fort Chisholm Magisterial District. This family division created one new parcel and one revised parcel. Lot I is 5.236 acre and to be conveyed to Justin Chambers, his son, and Lot H is 20.55 acre parcel residual. All parcels will be utilized for residential agricultural purposes, and all will be served by private water and private sewer, and this plat was recorded May 26th.
Any questions for staff on this family subdivision?
Hmm. Yeah, it's right out the road.
And if there's no questions, we'll continue on to our next item, our coming events. See, we have the Board of Supervisors on June 9th at 6 p.m. and on June 30th at 10 a.m. Of course, the Planning Commission on July 6th at 6 p.m. with our interim work session on the 22nd. And the June holidays are Juneteenth and Independence Day. Any other questions on the coming events?
Cool.
And if no other questions, our next item will be the county engineer report. Mr. Kinzer.
I don't have a whole lot, I'm still reviewing lot 10, board and plan review. I have not received any, delivered comments on the lot 35, I haven't received anything back from them yet. Chased some flooding last week in the county, trying to fix some issues with the solar site down there. Their back pond had failed, and their riser was heavily damaged by something. But they do have 700 sheep, and they're finding out that 700 sheep might be overgrazing the site a little bit, so they're having some drainage issues. One night, we had a lot of flooding in Fort Chisholm area, washed out gardens, roads, driveways. Next night, it was in the rural retreat, so I went from one end of the county to the other, chasing flood complaints. A lot of VDOT issues too, but they only designed for a 10-year storm, so a lot of these secondary roads may get blown out in these storms that may be a 25-year storm or something.
I guess with all the rain ahead, they've lifted the burn ban.
Yes, sir. At the last board meeting, we still have reservations about long-term, how long is this drought going to last? You know, the precipitation last week was helpful. We've got a lot of farms that needed to burn stuff off, so it made sense to lift it while we had some precipitation still around, some moisture on the ground, but I don't think it's gonna last very long.
So right now it is good.
Good burn,
Burn.
careful.
But we still fall under the Forest Service's guidelines if they've got some type of restriction, right?
That went out at the end of May.
Did he go out? Okay, I just want, cause I knew that was kind of beyond what they had on their.
Anybody have any questions for Mr. Kinser? And if there's no other questions for Mr. Kinser, our ex officio report, Mr. Burnett.
I don't have a whole lot. I'll be at the work session, so anything, say anything about that time. We just finished up pretty much our budget. We still ain't got a state budget, so we won't know exactly, the final numbers. Hopefully, we'll get back from the state, good numbers for us. The school system took a pretty nice little hit. They're not asking for much more, but the state funding went down. Hopefully, when we get the real numbers, the final numbers, maybe that won't be as hard as it was, but pretty much we trimmed it down to, we're 3.8 million short. And we'll pull that from reserves. This is the second year that we've done that, and we don't want to keep doing it. Hopefully, a few things coming in the future, we won't have to, but worst case scenario, we might have to look at raising taxes if we continue to be short. And nobody likes that conversation. And it ain't one we've had to have since I've been on the board. Our first year, we lowered our tax rates, and we've been able to keep it low, same rate ever since. And other than that, unless y'all have questions, that's all I have.
Any update on the cannery?
No, I'm kind of curious, because it's supposed to be up and operational soon, very soon.
Yeah, I don't have a lot of details about that either, so.
So, no.
If anybody else have questions for Mr. Burnett? And if not, our Deputy County Administrator report from Mr. Hankins.
I'll talk about a few things. We're getting to be early tonight. I can go for a while.
It's in honor of me, so you got 2 minutes.
I just want to keep Johnny here for. On the cannery, we have asked for some congressionally directed spending. Congressman Griffith and Senators Warner and Kane, as they do every year, ask us if there are projects that we'd like to see some federal money spent on. And we have advanced projects into what we hope is, the viability stage of being funded by federal assistance. The one that Congressman Griffith is championing is the Lafayette water tank. That's something that we try to get done through the Blue Star project, but since that one didn't advance far enough, that project is sort of just hanging out there. We still need the additional capacity in water storage. We need it, Wythe needs it. If we were to go through a Hurricane Helene situation again, where we have a lot of turbidity in the river water, that could present some health and safety issues for us. If you can't get the dirt to settle out of that water fast enough to get it treated enough up in pipe to Whittle, that creates some issues, on the health and safety side. So we need, if we can add that storage tank, to give us another day or two of water capacity, that would be very helpful. So I'm grateful for that and proceeding. On the Senate side, Senators Warner and King are advancing the cannery. We did put in conceptual update, moving it off of the school campus and onto county-owned property. And so they've advanced that. So we'll see if those two projects make it through. Certainly we hope to do. There are a lot of avenues that these projects can be funded through, so we're hoping they'll find something that's appropriate. We'll get some assistance there. We frequently talk about broadband. The majority of the projects that remain to be done are on the eastern end of the county. Citizens is working as fast as they can. I think they've got 6 contractor crews out working, putting up new fiber, connecting new customers. That they have worked their way to Miller's Creek. They are finishing up on Reed Creek and Topaz and some of those areas. I think they've finished up into Connors Valley, so they're making good progress. There will be some customers that are not served out of this grant that they just have received some additional grant funding for. So some of those customers that were a little more remote, a little more difficult to serve, they're going to be able to go back with, I think this is the BEAD funding, broadband access funding that was passed a few years ago. So they keep us updated. We've been putting it out on social media where they're connecting customers, but if you have folks who ask you about broadband and their access, they've got a tool on their website. Point Broadband has one on their website. We've also got Chantel. Brightspeed's been adding some fiber into Wythe County that hasn't been there before, so there are a lot more options than there were 5 years ago when we really started earnestly getting into this. So hopefully folks who want to be connected can be connected. If nothing else, they can look at Starlink. That too is a high-speed option. It's better. Everybody that I know that has it loves it. So,
Matt, I have a question on that, if you don't mind. Since I've been a little bit out of the loop, the citizens on eastern end of the county, are they paralleling with Brightspeed or whatever? Is it just another, or is it something that they're, can you fill me in on how that's working?
So generally it'll run on the same pole, run parallel to Brightspeed. Citizens likes to go underground with their fiber, so they're not going to be hanging from the poles, but
Right.
they're generally going to follow the same rights of way.
And that's what I have. Actually have underground fiber to my house, but in that area, Citizens was there. I was just wondering if they're adding on to the program that Brightspeed was already doing in the county when I was here before.
Point Broadband was supposed to do the whole county. But
I'm sorry, Point Broadband, my apologies.
They got the VATI 2 funding to be able to do that. They reached a point, basically they got to Pepperidge Ferry Road, close to Miller's Creek. They got to the town of Whittle, and they got all of the Speedwell magisterial district covered. But then they left the eastern end of the county, which was still about half of the county addresses. They decided they couldn't do those under that grant, so they transferred that grant to Citizens, which already had a presence in the eastern end of the county, and so they're expanding east to west to fill in those gaps that Point Broadband left.
Okay.
We weren't real happy with Point Broadband because essentially they cherry-picked the easiest areas to get into, left the hardest areas for Citizens to cover. Citizens already covered a significant part of the eastern end of the county with coax.
Yep.
They've been coming back and rerunning some of those routes with fiber. They're also going to add some fiber into this new grant funding that they've just gotten. So I feel certain that the majority of those customers on the eastern end of the county are going to have access to fiber if they need that sort of speed. If not, they still have the coax as an option running in front of their houses. So we should have the access problem pretty well solved for probably 98% plus of the county by the end of this year.
By when?
by the end of this year.
In this year?
You know, the grant that they just received, I think they've got 2 years of performance on it. They'll be able to cover some of those gaps in that time.
Okay, thank you.
And I say we, it's a Mount Rogers Planning District Commission
Yeah,
project, but we get asked about it and we get blamed for it, so I'll
Right.
say we.
I got you. Thank you.
And then one project that has been running in parallel with the land use classification is codification. If you go online and you look at our code of ordinances that's been passed by the board of supervisors, you won't find an organized, structured way to do that. The board of supervisors was presented, we had a public hearing at the last meeting with very organized code. It's updated, all the references are right. It'll be added to the Municode online code library. It'll be available for people from our website, so there won't be more questions of how do I find this ordinance and what governs this particular part of the law. So I'm happy to bring that project closer to completion pending board approval, which I believe they'll consider June 9th. I can't assume that they'll pass it, but there were no objections to it last week when we discussed it. It doesn't change the applicable law, it just organizes things, makes sure all the code references are up to date, and removes any out-of-date language or things that have been removed by the general assembly.
What is going on with Royal Retreat Pool?
The issue has been the chlorination system. So it was right last week, it decided to go bad this weekend. Dumped more chlorine than is safe for people to swim in. So that's why they had to close it. National Pools they are supposed to be there tomorrow to fix the chlorinator. And hopefully they'll have it right for an extended period this time. We are supposed to be open every day in June and July. A little aggravating to have a nice day outside and not be able to go to the pool, especially when we've invested that much in the heater and getting the water temperature right. Our Parks and Rec director is very much a pools expert. She's pretty frustrated by the chlorinator system. She sees it as old technology. There is some money in next year's budget for doing some pool updates. It needs some new pumps and it needs a new filtration system. The Department of Wildlife Resources has generally frowned on us doing a backwash system out there, but they're okay with it now. So we're looking at changing out our system and going with something that doesn't require filters that have to be changed out every day. You're going with, say, a sand system, it would give us more reliable system that wouldn't be as expensive to maintain. So hopefully we'll get that linked over the next couple of years. We want a pool that everybody can use and rely on and depend on. Got a lot of pool parties booked this year. A lot of people that want to use it, especially after hours. So we've got a lot of kids who are working out there and getting some good experience and some leadership with the pool. And I'm confident it's going to yield a better experience for everybody who uses it. As far as the events coming up at the lake, we have the Liberty at the Lake Festival. It's July 3rd, 4th, and 5th. We've got our fireworks on the 3rd. We're pretty excited about that. We've got some music, some movies, a lot of games, and family events out there that whole weekend. We're not trying to compete with Full's event on Saturday. They do their fireworks on Saturday, and it's the same company that's shooting both. But we're trying to provide a good alternative and maybe draw some extra people in that weekend. If you're looking to camp out there July 4th weekend, I'm sorry, you're too late. All the spots have filled up, both RV sites and primitive sites. So we are running ahead of where we usually do financially at the lake. We've got new systems in place so we can do online reservations and hold camp locations that way. So I think this is going to be a much better year than we've been experiencing at the lake, and we've had some pretty good ones recently. But got some new management out there, and some new events, some things to draw people in. So I like new. the staff will tell you, there's two things you can tell me that will be deal breakers. One is lie to me. And we're not gonna trust each other after that. The other is tell me that we've always done it that way, because I think you're too lazy to come up with a new way to do it, and sometimes there's better ways to do it. So, we got a new Parks and Rec director who is, doing things new ways, and I'm pretty excited to see the outcome.
Anybody have any additional questions for Mr. Hankins? And if not, we'll go to our next item of business, our commissioner concerns.
I've already addressed them with Mr. Kinzer there.
None for me?
You still got drones and lights shining?
Drones and lights and flooding, and it's a big mess right now.
Oh, goodness.
Yeah, because one of them called me late one night when we had the flooding, and I directed him and said they're trying to get that fixed. And of course, we've got flooding issues too, and I lost cattle from the flooding issues because of the solar farm, so we gotta, took me a few days to find them back too. Yeah, it's been lovely.
I do want to recognize our other citizen in the gallery. I see he's here for homework. So I guess you've been appointed to which planning commission?
With Phil, sir.
With the,
Yes, Randy, him, nice to meet you.
He's in class with me.
Yeah, I recognize it.
who's teaching the class now?
VCU.
That's it, usually
I don't
for
remember.
Walmart, about 4 or 5 instructors.
We've got a couple of different ones in
Somebody's,
there.
everybody's pushing a lot of community housing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got one little dry.
The first day I thought was really good, the second day with the lawyers and kind of a little.
Yeah.
Bob, you need a refresher.
I do not need a refresher course, not unless you're gonna send Chris through it with me, so.
I can see him.
No, thank you.
The networking portion of it is really good. You know, getting to talk to other planning commission members is really, really good. When the lawyers got involved with it, it got up here and then they couldn't answer some of the questions in the second day of class. So I thought, if y'all can't answer them, how are we gonna answer them?
That's exactly right.
So, and we got 2 more days coming up in June, so we'll be.
Yeah, I remember back in the days, just one guy would do it, as Mr. Chandler. Is he retired now?
I believe so. And when I took it, he didn't even make an appearance on video, so.
Yeah.
We've got one out, she's out of, the lady that's over is out of Florida, I believe. She was talking about the Florida weather.
Any other commissioner concerns? Well,
I will just say, Dave, I appreciate everybody welcoming me back, outside of Miss Susan over there. Thank you. Wasn't sure if I'd be welcome back, but when Coach spoke up and said, welcome back, my heart grew 3 sizes. Because I remember how he liked me in school, and it was really touching
Oh, my God.
to have him go 180. Huh?
He loved everybody in school.
Exactly.
No, he didn't.
Oh, yes, he
No, he didn't love me. And I will say, probably looking back on it, it was 60-40, he was right. But I love you, I mean it now.
Whatever. It's on record now, so it's official.
It's official, yeah.
I guess we never make a motion to recess till, what, 22nd, 6 o'clock?
yes.
I'll make it a motion.
Second.
Everybody, we'll do do we need to vote on that? Yep. We are now in recess to June 22nd, 2026 at 6 p.m.
Well,